The room was filled with laughter that night, the kind of laughter that bubbles up when people are relaxed, sharing food, stories, and the warmth of company. It was a small charity event at a community hall in Louisiana, where neighbors had gathered to raise money for a local family in need. The atmosphere was lighthearted and music played softly, children ran around, and old friends reconnected. But what no one expected was that the evening would turn from playful banter into something unforgettable, something that would etch itself into their hearts forever. Senator John Kennedy had been invited as a guest, not to speak about politics, not to debate policy, but simply to lend his presence in support of the family. He mingled casually, shaking hands, telling his usual jokes, and drawing laughter from nearly every corner of the room. Kennedy had a reputation for being sharp-witted and quick with one-liners, so when someone from the crowd jokingly shouted, "Come on, Senator, sing us a song," the whole room erupted with playful cheers. At first, John laughed and waved it off. "Y'all don't want to hear me sing," he said in his southern drawl, trying to move on, but the chants grew louder, good-natured and insistent. "Sing, sing, sing," echoed through the hall until even he had to give in. With a chuckle, he stepped up to the microphone. "All right, but don't say I didn't warn you," he teased. Everyone expected a silly song, maybe something playful or comical to match the mood of the evening. But instead, Kennedy took a long pause, cleared his throat, and began softly singing a hymn, an old, simple song about faith, hope, and holding on in times of struggle. The first few lines drew quiet chuckles, but then the room shifted. His voice, though unpolished, carried a raw honesty, a trembling sincerity that pierced through the noise of the evening. The laughter died down, conversations stopped, children stilled, people leaned in as if his voice was pulling them closer. As he sang about faith in the darkest of nights, the lyrics struck chords deep within the audience. Many in that room had carried heavy burdens, lost loved ones, financial struggles, illnesses they didn't speak of. And now, here was a man they only expected humor from, standing before them with the vulnerability that was rare in public figures. Tears welled up in eyes across the hall. One woman clutched her chest, whispering along to the words she hadn't heard sung in years. A young man, sitting in the back with his head lowered, wiped his face quickly before anyone could notice. Even the family the fundraiser was meant for, the ones who had lost so much, found themselves holding hands tighter, feeling for the first time in weeks that maybe they weren't as alone as they thought. When Kennedy finished, the room was completely silent for a heartbeat. Then came the sound of sniffles, followed by soft applause that grew into a standing ovation. But it wasn't the kind of applause that came from being entertained. It was the kind of applause that came from being touched, from having hearts stirred, from feeling something genuine. Kennedy, humbled, stepped back from the microphone, his voice thick with emotion. "Sometimes," he said quietly, "we forget that faith isn't about never facing storms. It's about believing the storm will pass. And it will, for each and every one of us." That night, the fundraiser exceeded its goal. But more importantly, the people left with something far greater than money raised. That they left with renewed hope, a reminder of the strength found in faith and community. In the days that followed, people continued talking about that moment. The story spread about how a man known for wit and sharp comebacks revealed another side of himself, and in doing so, reminded everyone that beneath titles, politics, and divisions, there is humanity, a shared yearning for something bigger, something eternal. And so, what began as a light-hearted joke ended as a moment of unity, a moment when a simple song about faith broke down walls, softened hearts, and reminded an entire community that even in times of struggle, hope still sings. By the end of it all, people didn't remember John Kennedy for his jokes that night. They remembered him for the song that brought them to tears and for the way it reminded them that faith, no matter how quietly sung, can echo louder than any storm.